Hey, welcome. Sometimes you come across an idea that's so powerful, it just completely changes how you see everything. It's like a switch flips in your brain. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to dive into some books that are packed with these kinds of reality-bending ideas. Ideas about the universe, our own minds, and what it all means. Ready? Let's jump in. So, let's kick things off with a classic from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly deep. You can't control what happens out there in the world, but you can always control how you respond to it. That's where your real power is. This is the perfect starting block for our whole conversation today because it's all about the power of perspective. So let me ask you this, straight up. What if just one new idea could change everything for you? I mean, really, truly alter the way you see the world. That's the adventure we're on today. We're hunting for those big, game-changing ideas.
All right, so let's start big. I mean, as big as it gets. The cosmos itself. We all kind of have this basic picture in our heads of what the universe is made of, right? But what if that picture we all have isn't just a little bit wrong, but completely, fundamentally wrong?
I mean, think about it. Most of us learned in school that everything is made of atoms, these tiny, solid little balls that are the building blocks of, well, everything. It makes sense, right? It's a nice, neat picture. But what if the universe is way, way weirder than that?
And this is where things get really wild. Enter string theory, an idea you might know from Brian Greene's work. It basically throws that whole tiny solid particles idea right out the window. It says that the fundamental building blocks of reality aren't particles at all. Nope, they're these minuscule vibrating strings of pure energy. And get this, the way a string vibrates determines what it becomes. A certain vibration is an electron. A different one is a photon of light. It's all just cosmic music. All of a sudden, that solid table in front of you, it's not so solid anymore.
And of course, that rabbit hole goes even deeper. This brings us to Stephen Hawking's life's work. He was chasing after this holy grail of physics, a single theory of everything. See, we have one set of rules for the really big stuff, like planets and galaxies. That's Einstein's relativity. And we have another set of rules for the super tiny stuff, quantum mechanics. The problem is they don't play well together. Hawking's quest to unite them opens up some truly mind-bending possibilities. Like maybe time doesn't just flow forward. Or maybe, just maybe, our entire universe is just one bubble in a massive cosmic foam of infinite realities.
Okay, so the universe is vast and strange, for sure. But here's an incredibly optimistic take from David Deutsch. He flips the script. Instead of just focusing on how weird reality is, he focuses on our incredible ability to understand it. His big idea is that there are no fundamental roadblocks to knowledge. Problems are solvable. It reframes science not as a quest to find the final answer, but as this infinite, never-ending journey of discovery. There's always more to learn, which is pretty exciting, right? Okay, let's pull back from the stars and galaxies for a minute and turn our attention inward. Because for all the mind-blowing mysteries out there in the cosmos, maybe the biggest one of all is happening right here, right now, between your ears. I'm talking about consciousness. What is this experience of being you? This is the core of a famous question from the philosopher Thomas Nagel. He asks, what is it like to be a bat? Think about it. We could, in theory, know everything there is to know about a bat's brain. We could map every neuron, understand the physics of its sonar, but would we ever really know what it feels like to be that bat, to see the world through sound? Nagel points out this huge gap between the outside objective facts and the inside subjective feeling of what it's like to be something.
And man, this is one of the biggest debates out there. You've got two main camps. On one side, you have people like Daniel Dennett who say that consciousness, this feeling of me at the center of everything, is basically a clever illusion. It's a useful story the brain constructs from all its chaotic chatter. But on the other side, you have thinkers like Nagel saying, no way, that subjective feeling, the redness of red, the taste of chocolate, that's a real thing. It's the what it's like part of experience. And it might be something that science, with its objective tools, can just never get its hands on.
And if you thought that was a trip, hold on, because Immanuel Kant takes it to a whole other level. He proposed something truly radical. What if things like space and time aren't actually out there in the world? What if, instead, they're like the pre-installed operating system of our minds? They're the framework our brain uses to organize all the data coming in. So we're not just passive observers of reality. In a very real sense, our minds are actively building the world we experience, moment by moment.
Okay, so let's recap. The universe is weirder than we imagined. Our minds are literally building our reality. So who's actually in control here?
What are the hidden forces, the invisible scripts that are guiding our actions? Let's dig into the biological and social systems that are pulling the strings behind the scenes.
This next idea from Richard Dawkins' The Selfish Gene is a real game changer. It flips our whole view of evolution on its head. Here's the core argument. You are not the main character in your own evolutionary story. Your genes are. Dawkins says we, and every other living thing, are basically just survival machines. We're elaborate robot vehicles that genes have built to carry them around and make more copies of themselves. It's a shocking idea because it suggests that at the deepest level, even acts of love and altruism are just clever tactics used by our selfish genes to ensure their own survival into the next generation.
So that's the biological script. But what about the social one? Well, Yuval Noah Harari, in his book Sapiens, argues that the secret to humanity's success is our unique ability to believe in shared fictions. Just think about it for a second. Money, countries, corporations, human rights. Where are these things? You can't touch a country. A dollar bill is just a piece of paper. They're all just stories, powerful stories that we all agree to believe in. And it's our ability to cooperate by the millions around these shared stories that lets us build cities, nations, and global economies.
Okay, so, wow. We live in a bizarre universe. Our brains create our reality, and we're being driven by ancient genes and collective stories. That's a lot to take in, which leads us to the biggest, most personal question of all. In the middle of all this strangeness, how on earth are we supposed to live? How do we find any meaning in any of this?
For an answer, we can turn to Viktor Frankl. This was a man who survived the absolute horror of the Nazi concentration camps. And what he discovered there is profound. He realized that the fundamental drive for humans isn't pleasure or power. It's the search for meaning. He saw that even when everything is taken from you, there is one last human freedom that can never be taken away. The freedom to choose your attitude, to choose your own way, to find meaning in your suffering.
The philosopher Albert Camus looks at this from a slightly different angle with the myth of Sisyphus. You know, the guy doomed to push a rock up a hill forever, only to have it roll back down. Camus says that life is kind of like that. It's absurd. But here's the twist. Our freedom comes from embracing the struggle. Sisyphus becomes the master of his fate the moment he looks that pointless rock in the eye and decides to push it anyway, out of sheer rebellion. His meaning isn't in getting to the top, it's in the struggle itself. And in that, Camus says we must imagine Sisyphus happy.
So that really brings it all home, doesn't it? If the universe doesn't hand us a prepackaged meaning, then that means the responsibility, but also the incredible freedom to create our own, falls right on our shoulders. It falls on your shoulders. So the question isn't, what is the meaning of life? The real question is, what meaning will you choose for your life?
And there you have it. That's the path we've walked today. We started out there in the mind-bending reality of the cosmos. We dove deep into the mystery of our own consciousness, and we ended up right here with the power of individual choice. It's a journey from the infinitely large to the intimately personal. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. None of these ideas are about giving you easy answers. Not at all. What they do is give us better, deeper, more interesting questions. They're invitations to see the world and to see yourself in a completely new way. The world is just brimming with questions. The only thing left to decide is which one are you going to build your life around?